Photography is not a serious art form. Well, it can be. We just often don't treat it that way. Posting on Instagram isn't serious. Just think about it. You're posting your photo for what? So that another photographer in all likelihood can scroll past your photo for a split second, mentally just comparing their work to yours before they just watch a reel about some boring Fujifilm camera. We're getting our work out there, but it's not really making an impact. It's just thrown into a pile that we're all addicted to sifting through constantly. We're looking at a lot of stuff, but we're not really taking it in, especially photos. Photos are ambient. Looking at photos can be harder than even reading a book sometimes because they don't really say anything directly often. The viewer has to kind of do the work to put themselves into the photo in some way. And no one on Instagram is really absorbing our photography, like really ruminating on it. Just contextually, it's not a great place for any sort of rumination. It's a slot machine. You just jump from one thing to the next. And that's because our photos don't actually exist. But you know what does exist? Double Negative, a photography podcast by Will Malone, with your host, me, the titular Will Malone. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you're picking up what I'm putting down. My daughter has gotten into photography. She's 4, so she calls herself a photographer. It's very cute. I've been giving her disposable cameras, or like the plasticky kind of reusable disposable cameras. She'll shoot a few rolls and then we'll head to the photo lab to get them developed. What's funny though is that she could not care less about getting them developed. She's not in it for the results at all. She just likes wandering around with a camera and snapping photos of just every little thing. But that's really not that weird if you think about it. We kind of all go around shooting photos like 4-year-olds now. Proof of that is that when I go to the photo lab now, they ask me if I want to keep my negatives or if I want them to throw them away. What? That's crazy. Like, I thought that the tangibility of the photos was why we were shooting film in the first place. This makes no sense. But it turns out that the point of photography, film or not, is about anything but the photos themselves. It's the cameras, the community, film stocks, the justifying of our social media addictions. None of this is about the work itself. Otherwise, we wouldn't direct the film lab to throw away our negatives. We wouldn't buy entire other cameras simply dedicated to digitizing our work. There wouldn't be video after video of our scanning workflows. These are all just ways to make our photography less real, because all we're doing is digitizing our photos so we can post them on Instagram. Ultimately, that's what we're doing. This year, I've gotten into postcards, and that's mainly because it's a cost-effective way to bring your work into the real world. It's a cheap way to make your photography real and useful because, you can send it to friends, write little notes on it. And no shade to these people. I love more than anything, and I really appreciate when people reach out to me with questions. But ever since my last few videos about postcards, I'm not getting questions about like the art of postcard making or anything like that. The questions have been kind of along the lines of, can you lay out your step-by-step process by which you make a postcard? Like how you order them so that I can order my own, which to me is like the easiest, most uninteresting part of the postcard process. But yeah, sure, I'll do it. Okay, so we're just gonna Google for postcard printers, and then we'll, pick one. And there's no printing website sponsoring this video, so I'm not gonna tell you which ones to go to because, they're not paying me. But then you hit this button called upload, and then you pick your photo out. The first side will upload the other side. And there you go. Add to cart. That was a little mean, but really, just Google. That's what I do. Just Google postcard printers. You'll figure it out. You're smart. You put in your mailing address and you pay money. Done. That's it. And there you go. There's my secret patented step-by-step process by which you would go and, make a postcard for yourself. It's really hard. It is wild, though, that everything around photography or involving photography interests us way more than, like, photography itself. Truly. Like, we want to know everything about everything around photography. But when it comes to the pictures, who cares? We don't care about that. It's not about that. And apparently, Googling for a printer and navigating the online back end of a printing website is way more interesting than discussing the art of photography, or like what kinds of photos belong on a postcard, or how do you think about that. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's just way more interesting to I guess watch a tutorial about Googling some stuff, it seems. There are photographers on YouTube right now making gear videos purely because they think talking about photography itself or images will get less views than talking about cameras will. And they're totally right. That's true. That's just a fact of YouTube. I believe the importance of the work itself is diminished because our photos don't exist in the real world. We don't treat them as anything real or ever allow them to interact in real human spaces. And that's simply because I think we just don't want them to, because we don't really care about our photos. We don't care where they end up. We take photos without any sort of goals or endpoint for them. And it used to be that you had to print your photos because that was the only way you'd see them. But now, printing is this luxurious thing that we do sometimes. But the fact is, we're not finishing the job. We are half-assing the photography process by not doing anything with our photos. And yeah, maybe you could argue that social media is the new end point. But at this stage in social media, it just often feels just kind of like a dumpster. If we were actually invested in getting our work out there, we'd put it out there. We'd promote it around town. We'd print it up. We'd put it in a place where humans actually are. There's a lot less competition for eyeballs on a, like real life wall. On Instagram, you're just competing with millions and millions of other photographers. On a gallery wall or book or postcard that you make, there is no competition. As long as that thing is in their hand or on a wall in front of them, they're looking at your photo. And I just want to say that, I do it too. I'm just as guilty as anyone. I've been agonizing about my archive lately, mainly because it's just piles and piles of photos that I'm doing nothing with. I'm addicted to taking pictures and posting them on Instagram, and have been for the past 15 years. I often can't be bothered to do anything else with them. I take photos and forget about them. And the sheer volume of the photos has gotten so big now, tackling organizing them all is just this enormous task. It's just easier to just keep paying for more storage and burying them. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm not proud of it, but I do it too. And it does a disservice to the work, ultimately. And that's just because the photos don't matter. It's all about the act. I think, really, if we're being honest, it's about anything other than the pictures. Because the pictures, once they exist, we're kind of done with them. We don't really want to talk about them anymore. We are all 4-year-olds with cameras now. Okay, so what do we do then? How do we get more serious about photography? First, we have to treat our photos like they exist, as if our images mean absolutely anything to us. I don't necessarily mean that we have to be overly precious about them, but maybe a little bit might be good. Maybe a little bit precious. I know people, though, that are so precious about their photos that they will not post their best photos on social media because they're afraid that they'll get stolen. I promise they're not getting stolen. Well, actually, they're just going to actually probably be used just to train AI. So just a giant corporation's going to steal them. So maybe they have a point. Maybe we don't need to be posting our photos anymore because we're just training the Terminators that are going to come take us out eventually anyways. At least the Terminators will be really good photographers, I guess. But I think when we think about taking photos, I think we need an end point. I think we need to be thinking about where our photos are going to end up, what they're for. And I think that would help a lot with clearing up what we need to be doing with them after we take them. Kind of like my postcard method video I did recently, a photo needs to have some particular traits to work well for a postcard because of the context. Postcards are much like real-life Instagram in a way because there's a lack of seriousness around it. So our photos need to kind of fit that. So what are we doing? Are we taking our photos to be prints? Are we taking our photos for large photo installations? Are we taking our photos to put into a book? I feel like it's really important to know where the photos could potentially be going before we even take them sometimes. And sure, some of you guys will hit me up and say things like, I just take photos for fun and I enjoy posting them to Instagram. And that's fine. I'm not necessarily even talking to you. I'm talking to the more serious photographer or photographers who claim to be serious like myself, who are basically just doing the same thing that hobbyists who are just having fun are doing. I think there's a lot of people that watch this channel who would claim to be serious about photography, but if we really look at like what we're doing with our photos, we're kind of indistinguishable from hobbyists in a lot of ways, if you really think about it. And that's a problem if we at least are out there claiming to be more serious photographers. Photography is an art form. And it's a weird one because it's only as important or as real of an art form as we let it be. Even the old lady who paints watercolor sailboat pictures while at her beach house has something tangible and real to show for it. And a lot of us take pictures digitally and don't necessarily have anything to show for it. And apparently, some of us even throw away our negatives. So that's kind of messed up. It's really screwed up that anybody does that, if I'm being honest. I don't know what you're going to do with your negatives if you keep them, but don't throw them away. I mean, my goodness. It's crazy. But ultimately, photographers are just so intense. We overcompensate. We act like being a photographer is this super serious pursuit, and yet we turn around and then treat it unseriously. The importance or value of our work is, I think, purely up to us. We have to choose whether a print run is one of 50 because we can digitize whatever and print infinite amounts of them. We have to decide what venues work better for our work. Does a photo work well as a postcard, or does it work better alongside a series of photos? Is it better in a giant print gallery? Should it be hung in a law office waiting room? And we often don't let our work breathe, and we seem to think that the context that a photo is in doesn't really matter. But more often than not, our photography looks terrible and doesn't fit in the context of a crowded online space full of ads and people squawking about whatever nonsense in a vertical video. Otherwise, they'd sell ad space in the blank spots between art and a gallery. But we don't sit long enough with our photography to really care about it. And if we don't care about our work, why should anyone else? Thanks for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at Will Malone. It's always funny when I badmouth Instagram and then say, hey, follow me on Instagram. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. But you can also follow my Polaroid Instagram account at Everyday Instant. Make sure to sign up for my weekly newsletter, The Double Negative Dispatch. You can become a paid member there. Got some extra content I'm putting out here and there. Some really good stuff. I recently talked about Rinko Kawauchi's book, Illuminance. Yeah, Illuminance. It's probably one of the most impactful photo books I've ever looked at. And I made a post about that for paid members. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you're picking up what I'm putting down. And again, I thank you for watching, and I will see you again very, very soon.